with you. I'm Alan Dyck, and you're here on Trust the Dicks podcast. I'm going to go ahead. I get so many clients asking me why I choose 4 liters of water. Now, when you're in the industry, in the fitness industry, 4 liters of water doesn't seem like a lot. But for the average person, it's like, fuck, you feel like a waterbed after even having 2 liters of water. And so I want to kind of go in depth on why I've picked 4 liters of water as a set principle. When it comes to water, not only does it go ahead and digest food, it helps to metabolize food. It goes and clears out any kind of lactic acid in the body. It's good for the skin. It flushes out sodium, all that kind of stuff. But what I usually tell every single one of my clients is 2 liters from 6 in the morning till 12, and then the last 2 liters from 12 until 6. The reason why I do this is not only do so many people not drink the amount of water they're supposed to, like what happens when you undercut the amount of water? So if I go ahead and I know I'm supposed to drink 4 liters of water that day and I consume 1 liter. So not only does the food that I'm consuming need water to metabolize itself, if you don't consume the right amount of water, what's going to happen is obviously you're going to dehydrate the body, and you're not going to go ahead and allow the food to do what it's supposed to inside the system, because it's going to draw more water out of the system, not having the right amount of water go through the system. And so, like I said, it's very, very, very important to make sure you get to that. Like I said in the beginning, you're going to feel bloated. And so it's just because you're not used to it. It doesn't mean it's not right. It just means, once again, like I've talked in previous podcasts, it's like, I need to consume the right amount of calories to make sure I'm going to go in the right direction. This is, I need to consume the right amount of water to make sure I flush out any kind of toxin and any kind of extra water that I have in my system. So you'll notice that, even though it's tough to get from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, but when you finally get there on a consistent basis, you're going to be thirsty. And that's a good thing, because now you're going to go ahead and you're going to flush out the system on a regular basis. The body's going to be working overdrive. You're going to feel amazing. Your skin's going to be good. It's good for so many things, not only just metabolizing food. I will say that, timing is huge when it comes to the water, like the 6 to 12 and the 12 to 6. And so with every single plan that I have on the planet, myself included, all my food is consumed within a 12-hour period. And the reason why I do that, like I said before, I've been doing this for 22 years and I haven't faltered. I haven't changed. I haven't, followed a fad. I just been doing the same thing. And so the reason why we're supposed to consume all the food within a 12-hour period is to give the body a 12-hour period to go ahead and fast. And so, a lot of you have probably heard of intermittent fasting and this and that, or consuming all your calories in 5 hours or 4 hours. Well, like I've said before, is after 60 minutes of waking up, if you haven't consumed any food whatsoever, the body is burning muscle as an energy source. It goes to show you that if you were to go ahead and fast for 18 hours and consume all your food in a 6-hour period, that window of when you get up and you're burning muscle as an energy source will happen instantly. And that's not what we want, because I've had people do it before where they did it a year of 18 hours of fasting, 6 hours of consuming food. They actually lost more muscle because the body needed that extra calorie to go ahead and stop it from hitting protein as that energy source. So in saying that, so even though I myself consume as much food as I do, and I mean, like, it's actually gross. It's like 6,800 calories, but my body's been used to this for so long that, I'm 42 now. Obviously, I've been working my whole life of building as much muscle as I possibly can. My body needs more calories to go ahead and sustain where it currently is. So my last meal is at 6 o'clock. That means the last bit of water that I'm going to consume will happen at 6 o'clock. The reason why is if I go ahead and I consume more water after 6 o'clock, my body's going to go ahead and get sluggish. Because the body needs X amount of water to metabolize the food that it's taking in. If you go ahead and you continue drinking after, not only will the scale dictate, you won't drop as much, because now what's going to happen is if you've consumed more water than you're supposed to, because of where the calories are sitting, the body now will go ahead and retain more water and it won't be able to draw it out of your system. The higher the calories, the more water you consume. The lower the calories, the less water you consume, but once again, no less than 4 liters of water. Like I have some clients that might consume 3, but once again, 4 is the magic number because it seems to work for every single person. I've had, obviously people consume 5, 6, and 7, but it's also based on what they do for a living. If they're going to work out in the sun, or if they're going to go ahead and work in a salt mine or this and that. Obviously, there's different plans for different people, which I'm okay with, but the average person should sit around that 4-liter mark. I will say that I tell a lot of my clients that have put in the time to go ahead and get to where we need to all of a sudden, after they went ahead and, 12, 14, 16 weeks, now they're diced. We're exactly where we want to be before we start going ahead and putting on muscle. When I start incorporating cheat meals into my plans, because you've put all this hard work in, of course, you're going to go ahead and be rewarded, because why would anybody just eat chicken, rice, and vegetables if there was not going to be a reward? You just want to fucking do this at the end of the day. So it's not worth it if there's not an end game. So what I would say is for a lot of my cheat meals, and they're usually at nighttime. So for myself, I'll cheat every single Wednesday with my kids and every single Saturday. And so my cheat meals are different. Sometimes I'll make homemade burgers. Sometimes we'll have sushi. Sometimes we'll have an obscene amount of steak and potatoes. But what I do with my water on the day I do a cheat meal, and it's usually just a meal. It's never a day, because you don't want to go ahead and consume that many extra calories, because once again, it'll put you in the wrong direction. Is I take my 4 liters of water, I go ahead and I consume my 2 liters from 6 until noon, and then I don't have another ounce of water for the rest of the day. After my dinner, I might have a decaf coffee or a tea or something like that. But once again, the water that I'm consuming, I'm cutting in half. Now, the reason why I do this is because a cheat meal is a cheat meal because it has to be more calories than you would consume at that one meal. If not, it's not a cheat meal. So for instance, for my dinner, I usually consume 600-700 calories. For my cheat, it's probably going to be 1,200-1,300 calories. Now, because I'm consuming more carbohydrates at that meal, now my body's supposed to be retaining more water because now I've got more carbs in it. But what happens is, when you're only consuming 2 liters of water till noon and you're dropping the other 2 liters, those extra carbs that you're taking in are actually going ahead and drawing more water from your system to allow those carbs to be metabolized in the body. Therefore, you're going to wake up the next day and be like, fuck, I actually look better. You actually look tighter because of the system of what I do when it comes to cutting your water and consuming more carbs. And so it's a cool factor that I've put into a lot of my programs because of a lot of the competitions that I've done where, I know how to manipulate water and what it does to the system. So I've incorporated it into my everyday plan. So somebody won't go ahead and have a cheat meal, gain fucking, 6 pounds, hate themselves, and then be screwed for the next 3 or 4 days until they get back to normal, which is very discouraging for someone that's put in all this time. Because then they say, you know what, it's not even worth the cheat. I won't want to do it. But I have found cheats or loads or, win meals or wherever you want to call it, is very important to make sure that you can go ahead and say, I've worked my ass off. I got to where I need to be. And now I get to live a normal life. I get to go out and have a glass of wine or have a meal with somebody, or, I get to go with my wife or my boyfriend or whatever it is and enjoy my time because I've worked my ass off to get to that point. That for me is more important than anything else. When somebody can say, you know what, I look the way I want because I put in the time, but now I understand why I'm appreciating this, and everybody else will be jealous because they'll want to be doing the same thing. Because when they see you sitting there having a burger with a 6-pack through your midsection, it's addicting and they want to know what you're doing and be a part of it. I will say that when it does come to water, though, a lot of my clients that get a little bit leaner, you can be a little bit more freeing on the amount of water you take in, because the less fat you have on your system, the more your body flushes out things on a regular basis. The heavier you are, the more fat we have on the body, the less the body has to go ahead and kind of have a flow through system. So you'll notice that, like, even for a lot of my clients that have weight to lose, when they consume sodium, because there's 2 different types of sodium. There's table salt, there's soy sauce, there's hot sauce. Those are bloating salts. When it comes to, Himalayan pink sea salt, those kind of things, those kind of salts will actually metabolize carbs and help you drop weight. But what happens is the leaner we get, like I said in the very beginning, is salt attaches to water molecules. So what happens is the more water you drink, the more the salt will flow through your body. The only thing is, if you're a heavier person and you consume soy sauce, table salt, hot sauce, because that's a bloating salt on its own, you will actually retain more water because of the fact that you're a little bit heavier. The leaner you are and the less body fat percentage you have on your body, once again, you could consume hot sauce, soy sauce, and that kind of stuff. It doesn't affect you the same way because you don't have all that extra stuff in the way. So that's the goal, is I tell every single client, this is where we're trying to go. This is what we're trying to accomplish, but this is why. And so when you have that understanding, and I have so many, before and after pictures and different people on different phases, and they can kind of see the progression and where they're going to go. It's super motivational to understand that if I follow this, there's a method to his madness. He loves what he does. I feel amazing, and I understand why. That is exactly what I want for every single person I take on, to understand, the importance of water, why I drink it, why I have less of it on a cheat meal, to understand why. And now more carbohydrates, less water, draw more from the system. I don't feel like a big bag of shit the next day, and I actually look good. I will say, when it comes to water and cheat meals as well, I had a client send me a message 3 days ago, and he's done so well. He's dropped 50 pounds, but now for the last 4 or 5 days, the weight didn't move. And, the way he feels and looks didn't move. So when that happens, I know I have to make a change. And so it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since he's had a cheat. I said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to cut your water to 2 liters by noon. We're going to have a cheat. He decided to have a burger. Once again, no dairy, because dairy causes inflammation, irritation, and rash in the body. And the body doesn't know how to metabolize that. So it's a burger, any other stuff you want on it. He had a couple yam fries, but he cut that water off at noon. He was sitting at 184 pounds. He dropped 1.5 pounds overnight, and over the next 2 days has now dropped an additional 3. He's like, how? Because what happens is the body needs to shock the system. The body needs to not realize that it's in a fucking routine all the time. You have to go ahead and give it a shock so it understands what it's doing and to go in the right direction. And this water plays a huge part. So, in saying that, I will say that, I myself, I have 2 coffees a day. Even though I'm blood type O, coffee doesn't allow my body to digest the food properly. So I make sure that my 2 cups of coffee are before I even consume any food at all. Because I understand once I consume that coffee and I've had a meal, my body won't digest the food as well. Doesn't mean I don't do it. I just make sure it's done before 6 o'clock because I start everything right then. And in saying that, drink water. It's very important. And it sounds so simple. Like I just did a talk in Charleston, and the 3 biggest things that I said, that were the most important things. They sound simple when I say them because I say them such regularly. Like I say them every single day, and it actually sounds stupid to me, but making sure your food is from 6 to 6, your water is from 6 to 6, it's 4 liters a day, and just making sure you eat within 60 minutes of being up. How far you're going to move and how fast you're going to go is crazy. And it sounds simple, but one of the biggest 3 things I could possibly tell you.